That was beautiful.
Yes, it was.
It's one of my favorite songs ever written.
Now.
It just makes it just makes sense. It's not always easy, believe me. You may not know this, maybe you guys do. I sometimes am challenged to choose love as my first choice. And I am so relieved that God has no other choice. The God of my understanding can't choose love. The God of my understanding is love. And so the God of my understanding cannot choose anything opposite of love. And so when we see things happening in the world, they're never punishments, at least not from God. They may be confusion, but it's what a relief to know that that which is God is love itself, and therefore is not choosing. We are given a choice on how to react to anything and everything. And so we have to think, with all the choices I give, am I going to choose love this time? Or something that seems a little less, a little insufficient to love? Let me read this to you. It's from my favorite book, as you know. It's called The Holy Spirit's Interpretation of the New Testament. Oh, you brought your book today, Linda. I'll be right with you. It's page 383. It comes from 2 Timothy. First chapter, and it says, "It is time to look within at the darkness that blinds you to your awareness of life. You will see many things, all of which are false. Hold my hand and know it is your own truth that you hold to as we look together at all you are not. You see yourself as less than, and so you seem to resent those who act as if to be greater than the one you see as you. All of this is based on the measuring stick of personhood. I do not want you to deny how you feel. Denial is not the way of salvation. I want you to look at it and feel it with me, meaning spirit. Imagine to take your pain and feel it with you, what you call your higher power, your God, your Holy Spirit, whatever it's your source, your supply. That it's okay to feel it, because to pretend I don't feel this way when I clearly do. Oh, I shouldn't show anybody how I feel, but I do feel this way, and it doesn't mean act it out. It doesn't mean splay it all over everybody. Myrtle Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, in her 2 years of healing process of tuberculosis, one day she really was not feeling up to the par. Pneumonia was setting into her lungs, and she said, "Come on, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do." I act as if I was in the room with her. But this is what I imagine. This was 1887, we'll say. And she, but the sentiment expressed, "Come on, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I have looked through all my faults and I can't find what I'm doing wrong." And the voice, what I call the voice, capital V voice, spoke within her and said, "Fine, you've looked through your faults, now look through your assets." And she looked and looked and looked, and then she found one. Pride. Pride that she was never supposed to let anyone see that she was upset. Because there's been confusion in New Thought over the years. Oh, don't let anybody know I'm having sickness. Don't let anybody know I have symptoms. Don't let anybody know I'm in a foul mood, because it'll just exacerbate. But that's not it. We're human. We're going to have stuff come up. How do we handle it? So she had to learn how to have her feelings, her thoughts, her whatever, and have it with spirit rather than to splay it. Denying it can be just as detrimental as spreading it around. And so to look at it and always take whatever we have within to spirit, because there is a voice within us that loves us with an everlasting love. So anyway, as we look at this feeling of less than and the resentment that is noticed for the one who acts out the role of greater than, notice that what you are feeling is a feeling. Move away from the thoughts of resentment to the feeling the thoughts evoke. explore within you the feeling. Can you see that it is just a feeling? It is an experience, and it is nothing more than that. The thoughts that evoke the feeling are nothing. They are mere props. It is the feeling or the experience that is the goal of the child of God. You've set out to have an experience, so let go of the thoughts and focus on the experience they evoke. So, anybody here having an experience? The answer is yes. Every single one of us. I'm not going to count exactly how many people are here today, but what I will tell you, there is that many different experiences happening. There's that many different church services happening today, or that many different celebration services. You and I are not having the same experience, and you are not having the same experience as the one sitting next to you, or the one behind you, or the one in front of you. None of us are having the exact same experience today. And so if we can get that, there are no superior experiences and there are no inferior experiences. My question is, are you grateful for the experience you're having right now? Or would you be willing to? What if you can't describe the experience you're having right now, but you're willing to say, well, I'm here, I'm a being, so I'm going to call it good, no matter how I feel. I'm going to call it a good experience, even though I don't know exactly what I think about it. I certainly don't know what it is. See, that's choosing with love. Because with that, we're choosing to be open that all sorts of amazing things could be taking place in ways that we have not considered. All sorts of amazing things right now where it seems like I'm just sitting here. I'm just sitting here. Who knows who had an argument before church? Who knows who's going to have one after? At least two of you will, somebody. Maybe with each other. Maybe you're the two will have it with each other. But who knows? Maybe your vast wealth is accumulating here while you're sitting here. Maybe all your health is coming into divine order while you're sitting here. You don't know it. You don't see it happening. But are you willing for those to be your possibilities? Maybe minus the argument. Are you willing to know that there are amazing things taking place right now while I'm sitting here? If you're not, what I'll tell you you're doing right now, you're planning for a lousy future. You are planning for an insufficient future that doesn't exist and never will exist. We clear on that? Who's not clear on that? Who doesn't understand what the heck I'm talking about?
Can you explain that in a slightly different?
Yes. See, if I'm not present now, I'm planning 10 minutes from now, an hour from now, 2 days from now, and what I'm planning is lack for it. Has anybody ever, planned to win the lottery in their mind?
Yes.
Millions of dollars, and somehow within that fantasy, it still turns south. Somebody still loses somewhere. All of a sudden, we're planning for complications. We're planning for ingratitude. We're planning for confusion. Wait a minute, I was planning to be rich and now I'm planning for problems. I can find problems with my current income. I don't need more income to have problems. But to realize, I'm planning for the future rather than being present in the presence. The future is already taking care of itself. Even if I am planning for the future, do it right now. Understand that you are here right now thinking about tomorrow rather than you're already in tomorrow with some peace lacking. It seems like no matter how much good we can project and plan for, we still plan for a problem somewhere within the good. We're planning for who will thwart us, who will die, who will hurt somebody. Somewhere in there, we're still planning for And we don't have to when we see through the eyes of love. Today's talk is called Open Your Eyes to Love, based on a song David wrote, and Reyes is going to sing for in a little bit. Open your eyes to love. If love is, then could there be anywhere where love is not? The answer is no. However, there could be everywhere where I fail to see it. Do we see the difference between there is no absence of love and yet I fail to see the love? I fail to actively, willingly participate in the love as it currently stands. So we must understand life is happening according to our current consciousness. Not their current consciousness, our. If there is no separation among beings, you see, if I'm blaming the ones who aren't living up to my high standards, I'm lowered my standards. I have a couple of friends who, when I start to complain about something or someone, they look at me like, I don't understand what you're complaining about. This one often does it to me, and it's like, oh, come on, I wanted to complain for a little bit. I wanted to criticize somebody. We're having a perfectly lovely time in the pool. Can't I find something wrong? and she said, I don't, and I have a couple other friends, I don't get it. And it's like, oh, they're right. I just want to criticize for a little bit. Is that okay? And I don't ask that because I know they're right. This is not the best time to criticize. I haven't found the best time to criticize yet, but it doesn't stop me from looking. and so to realize, oh, it's Labor Day weekend. This is what the weather is on Labor Day weekend on Sunday. How about that? Yeah, it's weather. When it comes down to it, it's weather. And I'm not the boss of what it means, except I am. I'm the boss of telling myself what it means. And I have a choice. I can say it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this. None of it's all false, as I just read it to us all. Everything I say about the weather, it's false. I don't know what the weather is, except it's weather. I don't know if it's good or bad or indifferent. Anything I think it means, it doesn't. And so that's where we get down to the crux of all. In the presence of love, I can be safe that nothing means anything. In truth, nothing means anything. And so therefore, all the meaning I give everything is the game I want to play today. The problem with the game we're playing is we forget the truth in order to play the game. If we could just understand, oh, I'm playing a game when I criticize this one or that one, or even if I praise this one or that one, I'm just playing a game because in God it doesn't have this meaning. In truth, it does not have this meaning. In God or truth, it has no meaning. It's an experience. And so my experience, the amount of money I have, no matter how much it is an experience. My neighbors are an experience. Even Facebook is an experience. Politics is an experience. History is an experience clearly only in my mind. And the future is clearly an experience only in my mind, because the only way I'm in the past or the future, I have to be where?
Here.
In my mind. The only place to go to the past or the future, but what we really confuse is the only place to go into the present is in my mind. To have an experience. It's very frustrating. Well, something has to be real. Something, well, yes, but I can't describe it. Something is real, and I cannot describe it. I can only come up with limited terms to, at the very least, have a comforting experience. And sometimes that's what we have to settle for. But I do know in all my experience that when I either tell the truth or rectify a lie, I have an easier experience. When I amend a wrong, either from years ago or 10 seconds ago, I have a lighter experience. The days that I pray believing, the days that I meditate willingly, I have an easier experience, a kinder, more loving experience. I'm going to read you a couple of metaphysical definitions here, a couple of thoughts, some of our antecedents. Charles Fillmore in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary in the Revealing Word says that love is a divine attribute. It is an idea in the one mind, capital M, mind. God is love and love is God, or equality in being. The difference between divine love and human love is that the divine love is broad and unlimited, a universal and harmonizing power. Human love is based on personality and is selfish, lawless, and fickle. In reality, there is only one love. When man expresses divine love in limited ways, he or she makes a separation in consciousness, and its expression of love is personal instead of universal. Divine love will establish one in fearlessness and courage, for God gave us not a spirit of fearfulness, but of power and love and discipline. That's the biblical version of 1 Timothy there, or 2 Timothy. By establishing ourselves in the consciousness of divine love and expressing that love at all times, we are helped to fulfill the command. Love your enemies. Do good to them that hate you. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despitefully use you. Now, how do you do that? How do you pray for someone who despitefully use you? How do you pray for them? By acknowledging love in yourself. By admitting we are one. By admitting we don't understand what took place when my feelings got hurt. By declaring I am one with all, and all is one with love. Now, Eric Butterworth said something quite wonderful. He said, we intuitively know that there is more in us than we are aware. Mm-hmm. How often do you take the time to remember, there is more in me or to me than I am currently aware. There is more good in my neighbor than I am aware. This is the desire to be more. This is the divine discontent. Until we comprehend and work with the cosmic process of love, does truth become a way of life for us. Eric says that love is beyond definition. Love is expressed but not defined. We are not born empty, and life is not about looking to special people for love. I love that. You know, the people who agree with me, those are the special ones, in case you didn't know. I just love the people who agree with me. They're my favorites. Love is an inner power, not an object. Our need is not to be loved, but to be love, to express love, to radiate love. God is love. God is me, and I am that love expressing in and through my loving heart. My love is my attunement with the cosmic flow. The great need is not to be loved, but to be love. I am created in and of love. It is my nature, the root of my being. I am the very activity of love and expression. I have within me all the love in the universe. There is no strain or drain in the loving. If a person feels strain in the loving, he is out of tune with the flow. He is trying to overcome by willpower. If you're not centered in love, then every changing condition of your relationship is a threat. If you feel ingratitude, then you really didn't love, you were bartering. Jesus says, love your enemies. Not because he deserves it, but because you deserve it. And that is one of the most profound things I know of. It's not because those people I don't like, well, they actually deserve my love. No, I deserve the love that I experience when I am loving another. Whether they have harmed me or not, to go within and principle. But how do I love these beings? How do I love? These people. And years ago, I was in a class. David took it. I was teaching a class in the city, and I gave an assignment: do an anonymous good deed for someone this week. You know what anonymous means? It means you do it not as the Philistines did for the glory of it, but to see what happens when you do this. Now, David did tell me at the end what took place, but he didn't tell me any of the process. I had no idea what was going on for his assignment. But he had a landlord. He had an apartment in New York that he wanted to buy, and the owner would not sell. In fact, she was threatening to go up on the rent. And so, but if you have a landlord, they're responsible for wear and tear around your apartment. And this light bulb went out, or this light fixture broke. And his thing was, I will replace this myself and not tell her. It seems like such a little thing, doesn't it? Such a little thing to do for someone you really don't like. Someone who's not been kind to you, has not expressed an ounce of generosity to you. But he did it. And that week she called and said, I want to let the apartment go. Do you still want to buy it? And this is the price. And she offered him the price he wanted. And it's like, he didn't try to get her to do that. He just did a homework assignment. Do an anonymous good deed for someone you don't like. And so I don't know what some of the other people do. What I do know is the universe shapeshifts when I release resentments, when I pull away blockages, when I do it not for the glory of it, but for the love of it. Why don't you guys this week? How about it? Do an anonymous good deed for someone you don't like. Who would be willing to participate in such an assignment? Really? People. So, some of you, not all of you. That's fine. Next week, I can't wait to hear the good news without you telling what you did. It's fine if you want to come and tell them, I got this amazing thing. I did something, and I got this amazing result. That's fine. Or I did something, and I got this horrible result. Depends which side. So some of you will be sharing a good news. Some of you will be sharing incorrect perception. Stop thinking negative thoughts. Get out of a consciousness of resistance. Now, again, it's not about It's not about, I'm not having this. I am having it, and I want to think differently. The time to salute the divinity in another person, the time to say namaskar, is the very time that it is most difficult to do. Not because they deserve it, but because you're out of tune. If you are living in conflict with another being, you're out of tune. And you might say, but it's their fault. But who's living out of tune, them or you? If you're experiencing resistance, if you're experiencing upset, it was the old third edition of AA's Big Book. They said, whenever I am angry or upset, page 449 in the old book, page 4, whenever I am upset or angry, I am somehow also at fault. It's a pain, but it's true. When we are centered in our own love flow, we are functioning at the level of life's completion, what Thoreau calls the license of a higher order of being. An example of seeing a friend in consciousness of love, looking at the person with eyes of love, transformed a problem within 48 hours. He was talking about someone he knew. Love does its healing work because it gets us centered in a consciousness of compassion. From that consciousness, I see clearly through the eyes of love. When we resist a thing, we are at the lowest level of consciousness. This is a consciousness in which chaos is always a possibility. Love is not giving something, it is rather being something. Never try to love anyone, because to try to love is not to love. To try to love is a judgment. Seeing with love creates an environment where people feel secure and let down their guard. My word for God often is love. Love, 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 love. I use it on the highway. I use it in my home if I feel fear. I use it in a lot of places. Love, love, love. Love is the reality that exists, and therefore there is nothing here to fear. Love is the reality that is, therefore there is no ailment to see here that has more powerful than love. You look at your wallet with love. You look at your bank accounts with love. You look at your pennies with love. You look at your dollars with love. You look at your neighbors with love. You look at, and I know how difficult this can be with all the other thoughts going on. I'm going to read one last thing. Again, Holy Spirit's interpretation, page 450. And it's 1 John chapter 4. And it's verse 18 says, fear disappears within the awareness of love. Because within the awareness of love, there is also the knowledge that there can never be anything to fear. We love because we are love. When love is all that we are capable of. To love God is to know God. And to know God is to love all things, because all things come from God, which is love. To not love is to believe in falsehood. This is merely misperception, since all that is all that is. And all that isn't never was. And so let us become attuned to all that is, since everything that isn't truth never was. Okay, I encourage us all today. We're going back to school, as it were. It's that time. Let us remember to open our eyes to love, because love is what there is. Thank you.